Like any other extracurricular, the 20% project is not an insignificant time commitment. While it's important to complete it before high school ends, it's less clear when the ideal completion date is. The reality is, like many things, it depends on multiple factors, but there's still a few guiding principles that you should keep in mind. First, if possible, you should try to complete your 20% project earlier rather than later. While we've designed the weekend project so that it can and should be executed in a weekend, things will inevitably happen, and sometimes doing everything in a weekend just becomes impossible. You'll see this in how we've allocated buffer time for the recommended timelines for the 20% project in the additional resources section. Thus, respecting and adhering to your own personal schedule is critical. The weekend project will take approximately 6 to 10 hours to execute. For some students, that can mean 2 to 3 hours a day for a month. For other students, 4 to 5 hours a day over the course of a weekend. While it's the lightest 20% project, it is not one to treat lightly, so make sure you have the bandwidth to commit fully to finishing it. Don't schedule your workshop for the same weekend as your sports championship, or when tryouts and practices are ramping up. Also, like Kevin mentioned, the longer you take to plan, execute, and complete your project, the higher your odds of failure are. In general, fall and winter is the ideal time for 20% projects, as people are more likely to try out new things earlier on in the academic year. And classes have just started, so the load is not that high. Spring is often trickier because there's a lot of exams, but projects can still be executed properly in March or April. Summer is a bit of a double-edged sword. While some students will believe that there's more time to dedicate towards a project, it's also true that many students will be attending camps, working, traveling, or simply be on vacation. The best times to execute projects, especially event-based projects, are going to be in early to mid-October or November, or late March and early April. As for bad times to execute projects, you don't want to do them around the holidays, around finals, or summer or other breaks. In terms of a more macro perspective, underclassmen have more flexibility for when they want to execute a weekend project, along with how many they want to do before moving on to a more advanced one, but upperclassmen should aim to execute a weekend project as soon as possible. In fact, the ideal scenario is to finish the 3 to 4 month long project by the end of 10th grade, as this will give you the most time to talk about your project come senior year. But if that's not possible, I recommend executing your project by the end of junior spring at the absolute latest, as doing it during the summer is cutting it really close to college deadlines. Finally, the timing also depends on the people you're helping and the type of project that you want to execute. For example, a scarf donation doesn't make much sense in the summer anyway. So plan in advance for when you can dedicate and commit to those 8 to 12 hours.